European cities on alert tonight after an intelligence warning of possible attacks involving guns or explosives between Christmas and New Year's Eve. Police in Vienna, Austria say the warning included names of possible attackers, but so far an investigation hasn't turned up any concrete results. We're back now with Republican Congressman Peter King of New York. He is a member of the Homeland Security as well as the Intelligence Committee. So, Congressman, can you give us a sense as we head into another holiday? Are there any known threats to the homeland right now?
Well, there are always reports, but I can assure you that everything that is coming in is being looked at. So far, nothing has been found, but any hint or any trace at all is being run down fully. Certainly, in New York, we're always in a high state of alert. Commissioner Bratton said last week that extra police are being deployed, but as of now, there's no evidence of any of these plots being real or credible, but they are all being looked at.
I want to talk to you about something that you've been calling for, and that's the increased surveillance of Muslim communities within Muslim communities. The NYPD had a program that really did this in Muslim communities, but they ended up getting rid of it in April of 2014. When you talk about having increased surveillance, are you talking about something like this program? Is there any evidence that this actually stopped any potential terror attacks?
Well, the fact is that there were no real terror attacks in New York during the time that was in effect. And as Commissioner Kelly has pointed out, there were 15 or 16 attacks that were stopped. And actually, the program you're talking about, that's the demographics unit, that was really not there to find terror plots. It was to find out which Muslim groups were living in which community. Like if you wanted to find out where the Moroccans were living, or the Egyptians, or the Yemeni, so that if we were told that a threat was coming from a particular country, we would know what part of New York those people were living in. So it wasn't really, initially, it was mainly just to locate where different groups were. There was still surveillance that does go on. There was very extensive surveillance. New York has over 1,000 police working on counterterrorism. So while the demographics unit is no longer operational, there are other units that are out there that, again, I'm not speaking for Commissioner Bratton. He can speak for himself. NYPD is still doing an awful lot of good work. I wish that they were able to do more. They are doing a lot of good work. I'll just leave it at that, but I would say that it is important to have surveillance in the Muslim communities at the local level and at the federal level. If we had had it in Boston, we may well not have had the Boston Marathon bombing.
But how do you see this working, and how do you do this in a way that wouldn't have people in the Muslim community or supporters saying, look, this is just profiling?
I would think people in the Muslim community should want this type of surveillance. Listen, when they were going after the mafia, Brianna, they sent the FBI and the police went into the Italian-American neighborhoods, the social clubs. When they were going after the Westies, that was an Irish-American gang on the west side of Manhattan. They were in every Irish bar and gin mill. They were hanging around the Irish club. This was all the FBI, NYPD. That's how it was done. If you're looking for the Klan, you don't go to Harlem. You go where the threat is coming from. And in this case, if you're talking about Islamist terrorism, it's going to come from the Muslim community. Now, 99% of the Muslims are, I'm sure, good, patriotic Americans, but the threat is coming from their community. And I would think they would want to have this. They would want to have the assistance of the police and the FBI. Unfortunately, in many cases, the mosques, for instance, have not told the police when there's been radical activities in those mosques. On Long Island, where I'm from, we've had a number of ISIS, certainly Al-Qaeda people arrested in this country. Actually, one arrested in Afghanistan fighting for Al-Qaeda. And it turned out they were from mosques on Long Island, and the mosque would say, oh yeah, they came here, they said they wanted to engage in this activity, we told them we don't do that, but they never went and told the police. And even though they meet with the police on a regular basis as part of a community relations program, never told the police any of these activities.
Can I ask you, though, you talk about the mafia as an example, and even with that program, I mean, I don't believe that there were any sort of independent mafia-inspired terrorist attacks. I wonder if you would be concerned that there could be some terror attacks outside of the community that would be looked at that could be inspired by something like this.
Well, again, I think that's sort of backing away. I think we should use the surveillance to the extent it's important, and also we should be monitoring other locations. I guess what you're saying is, to just inspire attacks. I think then you're playing defense. If you're in that situation where you're afraid to go after the enemy because that might inspire them to carry out attacks, then we'd be basically doing nothing. So no, I'm not concerned about that anymore. To me, there's more of a concern if we do nothing or if we don't do the surveillance. I would rather be on offense, do the surveillance, and that could lead you to other attacks.
Congressman Pete King, we certainly appreciate you being with us, especially with this news of new terror threats. Thank you so much. And coming up, Donald Trump.
Happy New Year.
He is a Happy New Year to you as well. Let's talk about Donald Trump next.
All right, hi everyone, my name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so Peter King, Congressman Peter piece of shit King. How much fear and hate do you have to have inside of you to elect a war profiteering, fear-mongering piece of garbage like Peter King? I'm just wondering, anybody who voted for this guy, if you could please just leave a note, a comment on this video that tells me, that explains how fucking fearful you have to be to think that Peter King is the guy that I want representing us in Congress. Okay? So I understand. Is it just that he says 9/11 enough, and you're from New York, and when he says 9/11, you get all patriotic and, oh, he's our guy. He said 9/11. Is that how it works? Because this piece of garbage, he's not here saying, oh, we got to surveil the Muslims. Okay? So you understand. This is what's really important. This is why I got to talk about this. Because he's not saying, we got to surveil the Muslims. Even though it sounds like that's what he's saying. Because we're already surveilling everyone, remember? We're gathering everyone's text messages from their cell phones. We're gathering everyone's message from their Facebooks, all their Facebook posts. We're gathering every phone call you ever made. And so much more stuff than you could ever imagine. And we're surveilling anybody we want. And it's been proven, and you know that it's true. So he's not sitting here going, oh, we have to make sure that we're able to surveil the Muslims. He's going, you guys don't like the Muslims, right? That's what Donald Trump is proving. You hate Muslims. So yeah, come on, you guys can support surveilling Muslims. First Peter King came to surveil the Muslims. You understand? First Peter King came to surveil, and I said nothing. He wants you to support surveillance. Not surveillance of Muslims. He wants you to love Big Brother. He wants you to go, oh, I'm so comforted knowing Big Brother is spying on the Muslims. You already know that. He's just trying to get you to wrap your arms around Big Brother and how comforting it is to have Big Brother in your life. Okay? And it's really important that that be clear to you about pieces of shit, fear-mongering pieces of shit like Peter, piece of shit King, war profiteer extraordinaire. That being said, thank you very much for tuning in again. My name's Mike. We're doing fundraising to keep Mox News going through 2016. We need your help. It's just a little bit, goes a long ways. We've been doing this now on YouTube for 10 years. I've been able to take and survive off a trickle of donations for 10 years and keep going and keep producing videos and keep defending whatever it is that I'm trying to defend, and keep waking up and keep inspiring and keep making happen, you know, whatever it is that we do here on Mox News. And when I say we, it's you and I that make it happen. So, and you're the important part. So if you'd like to continue making it happen here at Mox News, I'm asking for help to keep that going. If you can, it's easy to make a donation at Mox News. Thank you for your continued support. One of these days this war is going to end. Hopefully Mox News will be here on that day, dancing its ass off.
I'm the leading state sponsor of terrorism